Welcome back, guys. It's time for another video. I'm going to do a second part to the algebra video titled Solving Two-Step Equations. We've solved a lot of two-step equations in class, and some of them are nice like that, where all of your numbers are integers and so on. But what happens when we have two-step equations without integer numbers? They're all fractions. Well, there's another method we learned, and I'm going to show you a video on how to do that. So the title of today's lesson is again solving two-step equations, but we're going to add fractions in the mix. So solving two-step equations with fractions. And I'll avoid writing out all the steps because the steps are going to be the same as last time. But the main thing is we're going to learn how to take this two-step equation with fractions and make it look like a regular two-step equation that we know how to solve. So let's come up with an example. Let's say that we have the two-step equation 3/8 y plus 2/3 equals 7/6 minus 5/4 y. Now, we could solve that like normal. We could find our smallest variable term. It looks like it would be this negative 5/4 y. We could add that to both sides, work with all our fractions and everything, but it's a little more work than what we need to do. So what we're going to end up finding, or the method we ended up talking about in class, we're going to look at each denominator. If we can find a number that each denominator will go into evenly, we can multiply both sides of our equation by that, and it will get rid of all these fractions. Well, this is called the least common multiple. Or it's the multiple that's the smallest number that they'll all go into evenly. So then you have to ask the question, what is the least common multiple, which we'll abbreviate as LCM, of our denominators? So 8, 3, 6, and 4. Well, let's see. Let's start thinking about some of these numbers. What will 8, 3, 6, and 4 go into? Well, try throwing some numbers out. What about 8? Well, 8 will go into 8, 4 will go into 8, but not 3 or 6. What about maybe 12? 3 will go into 12, 4 will go into 12, and 6 will go into 12. But 8 won't go into 12. Okay. What about 24? 8 will go into 24. Okay. 3 will go into 24. Okay, 6 will go into 24, and so will 4. So it looks like 24 is the least common multiple of these four numbers. Again, these are curly braces. This is just a set of numbers. So 8, 3, 6, and 4. So now what we're going to do then, let me make a copy of this so we can bring it down. We're going to multiply both sides of our equation by 24. And we'll do that in purple so we'll retain our steps. And when we say multiply both sides, we're really multiplying everything on one side by 24 and everything on the other side by 24. So we do need these parentheses. Okay, so next step, we're going to have to use what's called the distributive property. And that's the property that says, if you have a term inside of parentheses, such as here, and you multiply it by a number, it says you can multiply those numbers before you add or subtract. So what we're going to do is take our 24 and multiply it by 3/8 y. We're going to multiply 24 by 2/3. Multiply 24 by 7/6. And multiply 24 by negative 5/4 y. So when we write that out, it will look similar to this. And I'll try to retain the colors. So 24 times 3/8 y plus 24 times 2/3 is equal to 24 times 7/6 minus, because this is a minus 5/4 y, minus 24 times 5/4 y. Okay, so we've got 24 times all of these numbers, and the way this works, all of these fractions will disappear. If you work it out and they don't disappear, there's a good chance that you've made a mistake somewhere. So first thing, imagine that there's a 1 under each of these 24s if it helps you think about multiplying these fractions. So we'll get 24 times 3 over 1 times 8. Well, 24 times 3, that's 72. So 72 y over 8 plus 24 times 2 is 48. So 48/3 equals, well, 24 times 7, let's see, 24 times 8 is 192. So take off a 24, let's see. Borrow 1 from the 9. $168 over 6 minus, well, 24 times 5, let's see. 25 times 5 is 125, so take off a 5, so 120. So 120y over 4. I'm going to erase this real quick just to save room. Okay, so after we multiply these in, we're going to, let's see, we're going to reduce these fractions, and they will reduce to whole numbers, whether it looks like it right now or not. So reduce the fractions. And after we do that, the result will be a two-step equation with integers. So with integer values. Okay, so we can do some of these in our head, and if we need to work them out on paper or with a calculator, that's fine. So 72 over 8. Well, 72 divided by 8, that one's not too bad. That'll give me 9. So 9y plus, let's see here, 48 over 3. Well, let's see, 48 over 3. I think that one's 16. So bring it on down. Now this one may give you a little trouble in your head. 168 divided by 6, let's see. We can do that real quick. So 168 divided by 6. Well, 6 will go into 16 2 times. 2 times 6 is 12. Subtract, we get 48. 6 will go into 48 8 times evenly. So 6 times 8 is 48. So we can stop. So 168 over 6 is 28. And let me erase that. And 120 over 4, well, we know that one. Let's see. 12 divided by 4 is 3, so 120 divided by 4 is 30. So it's going to be 30y. And look, what that's turned into is just a regular two-step equation. Okay, we know how to solve that one. That's no big deal. That was the topic of our last video. So why don't we do this? Pause the video for a moment and see if you can solve this two-step equation for y. And then I'll show you the solution and we'll see if we get the same answer. So go ahead and pause the video and work it out. Okay, well, I hope you had time to work this out and hopefully you got the right answer. So let's see. First thing I'm going to do, well, let's copy this to a new page. That way we don't have to switch in the middle of solving. And I won't write the steps again because that was the topic of our last video, but I'll talk your way through it. First thing, we need to subtract or add our smallest y term to both sides. So our smallest y term looks like it's going to be this negative 30y, because negative 30 is much smaller than 9. So let's add 30y to both sides. And when we do that, these will disappear. So we'll get 9y plus 30y. That'll give me 39y. Bring down my 16. And that's equal to 28. Okay. Well, now I've got all my y's on one side. I need to get all my numbers on the other side. So this 16 is positive over here. We need to subtract 16 from both sides. Okay, well, no big deal there. These will disappear. Bring down my 39y. And that should be equal to 28 minus 16. Well, let's see. 28 minus 16. That'll give me a 2 and a 1. So 6 is 2. It's 1. So 12. And now it's just a one-step equation. We have 39y is equal to 12. So to solve that for y, we need to divide both sides by whatever's multiplying your variable. So divide both sides by 39. 39 over 39 will disappear. And our solution to this problem with fractions is equal to y, or well, as y is equal to 12 over 39. So as a recap, let's just look back, talk about our method real quick. So solving these two-step equations with fractions, we started out with this monster. Okay, it looks bad. You're right, it is bad. Not something you want to do with fractions. And what we transformed it into by doing these intermediate steps was this two-step equation with integer values. And again, the solution we get will be exactly the solution to this problem. And then we started out with that on the second page. And solved it just like we would solve any other two-step equation. And that's how you can work any two-step equation with fractions. So I hope you've learned a lot, enjoyed your video. Check back for updates later.